Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
All right. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman, hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, no doubt starts now. This is the broadcast for November 5th in the year of our Lord 2025, promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property, and doing so in the traditions of our founding fathers, rejecting revolution unless it's a Jesus revolution. Then we're in because we follow the Prince of Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, this day in history, Lenin makes his call for revolution. We'll get into that. We'll also talk about the U.S. government shutdown, longest in history. We'll talk about the absolute beating you could say the Republicans took. I don't look at it that way, but we'll talk about it all. Let's see. The Democrats win really at every turn. We'll talk about that, folks. The NAACP is delighted. The president's going to be meeting with the GOP senators trying to, get rid of the filibuster. California is going to be changing their district maps. Maryland's looking at it as well. California and Texas in kind of an epic redistricting battle at this point. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent goes on CNN. Why these clowns continue to double down and support the mainstream press, I just can't figure out. We'll talk about that. Republican lawmakers distance themselves from Tucker Carlson. Yeah, they say he's a supremacist. Oh, he's a bigot. Can you use these words? Jack Smith is going after the Donald. We'll talk about it all. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live. With me to break it all down is our dear friend, co-host, colleague, if you will, and more, Mr. James Edwards, well known for his book called Racism, Schmacism. Ought to be updated in modern times, by the way. And then he's also a nationally syndicated talk show host in his own right, thepoliticalcesspool.org, every Saturday night live and on demand at your fingertips. James, welcome back, sir.
Sam, thank you for having me back, and congratulations again on your continued success and the evolution of your work, always growing to bigger audiences. And it is a little bit like, this isn't like the first day after the first Tuesday of November of last year. That morning you woke up after the election. However, it's still a pretty delicious buffet for a political commentator to sink his teeth into this morning in light of the elections last night, especially in Virginia and New York.
The elite love to kind of do things in our face. They love to, they have weird dates and weird associations of things that go over most of our heads because we don't care. But to them, they love it. And so I don't know if you know this, but this day of history, November 5, 1917, Lenin makes his call for revolution. Let's play this video. We'll talk about this. But this is very interesting on the day the Democrats are taking a victory lap. Here it is.
The Russian Revolution. The year is 1914. World War I had begun, and Russia was at war with Germany. The working class and the peasants make up the Russian army. However, they are not well equipped or trained for the battles to come. The year is now 1917. Millions of Russians had been either killed or wounded. The Russian people were angry at Tsar Nicholas II for getting Russia into the war, and several other reasons, including the Tsar taking personal command of the army, Rasputin's power over the royal family, food shortages, and growing political opposition. The first revolution came about in February 1917 on the Julian calendar in Petrograd, which was the capital of Imperial Russia. Demonstrators protested about the lack of bread due to rationing and were soon joined by striking workers. The army was called upon to suppress the uprising. Several protesters were shot and killed by the soldiers. However, many refused to open fire. The army, too, it seemed, had mutinied against the Tsar. The Petrograd Soviet was the city council for workers and soldiers. Now, more and more workers and soldiers elected people to it in order to represent their demands. The Tsar abdicated, bringing an end to the Tsarist autocracy, and a new government took over. This government was run by two political parties, the Petrograd Soviet and the Provisional Government. The Bolshevik Revolution. The provisional government was also unpopular. It made the decision to remain in the war and failed to give land to the peasants. Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks were a faction of the Marxist Russian Social Democratic Labor Party and eventually became the Communist Party, the Soviet Union. He had a simple slogan which would appeal to the people and the Petrograd Soviet: peace, bread, and land. Peace, the end of Russia's involvement in World War I. Bread, solving food shortages. And land, which would go to the peasants. He also stated all power to the Soviets, meaning that he would seize power in the name of the Soviet. On November 6 and 7, 1917, or October 24 and 25 on the Julian calendar, the Bolsheviks, led by Lenin, launched a coup d'etat against the provisional government. They stormed Winter Palace and arrested the provisional government, putting themselves in charge of Russia's government. After the revolution, the Bolshevik government exited the war by signing a peace treaty with Germany called the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. A civil war would erupt in 1918 by those who were against the new Bolshevik government, the White Army,
All right, we can go ahead and
the
stop
Bolsheviks
that now.
themselves.
I just wanted people
the
to get a
Red Army.
flavor. This history thing is real. November 5, 1917, Lenin makes his call for revolution. They love this. The Democrats think this is delicious. They won. They're taking a victory lap. Is this foreshadowing, James Edwards?
Well, a lot of things to unpack in that clip. I agreed with some of it. Tsar Nicholas was a hero. He was a Christian hero of Russia. They murdered those Bolsheviks, the part of the Bolshevik Revolution. They murdered the Tsar, his wife, all of his children in cold blood, just shot them down like dogs in the basement.
That's what communists do, buddy.
Well, that's exactly right, and I'm leading up to that. But these people were just the worst in history, and talking
They're
about
godless, they're evil, they're power hungry, they're criminal. Other than that, it's not so bad, James.
And then they were talking about one of the reasons for their uprising was the fact that Russians were starving. Well, how many people starved? How many tens of millions starved as a result of these people during the Holodomor? And then they certainly weren't peace-loving people either.
Well, and
big part in World War II.
Holodomor was a slaughter that was bigger than even what we, talk about in World War II with the Jews and Hitler and everything else, right?
Sure it was. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it, by many factors. But to your point, and I think the reason you're playing that is Western civilization may not survive the fruits of the Bolshevik Revolution. The last 100 years, and this is just barely,
or the fruits of modern
now?
Gains on the shoulders of that, right?
Well, exactly. I mean, they are all connected, either tangentially or directly. And what you are seeing in New York City now is the ideological fruit of this movement. I mean, he basically outright says he is a communist. He is part of this ideological faction that has almost, and perhaps it has, delivered a devastating, catastrophic, unsurvivable blow to Western Christian civilization. And that's what you've got in New York City now.
So now you've got, ladies and gentlemen, so everybody understands, I don't know how you say this guy's name, Zoran Mondani. Is that how you say it?
As close as I can get.
All right. Anyway, Mondani, elected mayor of New York City, ladies and gentlemen, the self-described Democratic Socialist, has victory in the city of 8 million people. They say, hey, that's going to set up serious conflicts with the Trump administration. I think that's all factual. I think that'll happen. Trump going ballistic on it. In my opinion, though, a lot of this is Trump's fault, really. Mondani basically says, hey, Trump, since I know you're watching, I've got 4 words for you. Turn the volume up. So, these guys, Jack Smith, Mondani, and all these guys, the Democrats are now coming after the Trump administration. They've kind of been kowtowed and kind of shut down for the last 10 months. Now they're deciding they're going to change their game and go forward. The problem is Trump stuns MAGA after endorsing Andrew Cuomo. Now, I don't know why Trump did that, but what you got is this Republican. Then you got Andrew, who melted down in the primaries, had to go independent. So now you got a 3-way race, and for sure you're going to ensure the win for the communist. James, isn't that? I mean, that's how we see it go down like that all the time. Trump almost made that happen.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you the broad view of this, and I'll zero in on what you're talking about with that Trump endorsement, because I think there's a little more to that than meets the eye. But first of all, why do we have Zoran Mamdani as the mayor of New York? And at the end of the day, I mean, it is just a city. Yes, it's one of the biggest, most influential cities in the world, but it's just a city. I don't see this as a huge nationwide win for the left as they are claiming it to be this day. They won a city that they were always going to win. I guess if we take this break, I'll come back and I'll give you the broad view.
And that's why I say they're taking a victory lap. I don't think it's exactly so when we say a victory lap. Yeah, they won a bunch of liberal places that were predicted they would win. They're making it sound like it's a landslide or a mandate from the people. I don't think so. We'll talk about it with James Edwards in seconds. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live.
The Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit legal foundation committed to protecting our unalienable right to publicly acknowledge God. The Foundation for Moral Law exists to restore the knowledge of God in law and government, and to acknowledge and defend the truth that man is endowed with rights not by our fellow man, but by God. The foundation maintains a twofold focus. First, litigation within state and federal courts. Second, education, conducting seminars to teach the necessity and importance of acknowledging God in law and government. How can you help? Please make a tax-deductible contribution, allowing foundation attorneys to continue the fight. You may also purchase various foundation products as well at morallaw.org. Located in Montgomery, Alabama, the Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 founded by Judge Roy Moore. Please partner with us to achieve this important mission. morallaw.org.
This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness, and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. James Edwards, yours truly, breaking it down. The longest government shutdown in history. We're on day 36. The communists celebrated revolution on this day back in 1917. And now this Mamdani wins in New York. It is just a city. James, break it down.
Okay, I think the 3 biggest things we can talk about today are the New York City mayoral race, the governor's race in Virginia, and the shutdown. 36 days. This is becoming a little bit historic here. I would love to talk about all that, but let me just give you quickly the broad overview of what happened in New York. And this is as simple as it gets, and this is the reason New York is what it is today. In 1925, New York City, not New York State, but New York City itself, Manhattan, New York City, the boroughs, 97% white. 1950, New York City was 90% white. 1977, it was 77% white. 2025, it is 32% white. That right there fully explains the Mamdani vote
and
total.
By the way, James, while they tell you that's not really happening, you're delusional.
Oh, yeah,
right?
You are a white supremacist if you read
but they're saying it doesn't even exist, this white replacement stuff, all this stuff. It doesn't even exist. It's not even true.
Yes,
now the evidence is so blatant in your face while they claim it's not true. It's not even funny. That's what we're talking about, right?
It is, and demographics is destiny, and politics is a racial headcount. All the other groups know it. If whites continue to go into battle politically with a blindfold on and hands tied behind their back. And that's what happened in Virginia. We'll get to that. But they're going to continue to get results like this. But in his victory speech, so going back to what you said about the endorsement and the actual election results, in his victory speech, Mamdani crowed, we have defeated a dynasty. And what he's talking about there is the Cuomo dynasty that did nothing but protect, promote, and pander to non-whites in New York for decades.
And that's why it's such a disgrace that Donald shocked MAGA and endorsed him, right?
Well, but here's the thing about that is there was really nothing else he could have done. I don't take fault with Donald Trump for that because I have seen the New York ballot, and
I know, but hold on. Why even endorse anybody, though?
Well, I mean, to stop this,
you're going to get Cuomo in there to stop the bad guy?
Yeah, no, Cuomo's going to be bad, but he's not going to be this bad. I mean, this is truly.
This bad is almost good, though. Hold on, I think this bad is almost good. Though. Let a communist run things for a while and let New York pay the consequences and see what reality's like.
Okay, I can get into that. People use that on a nationwide level, and I'm not ready to go there on like the worst is better nationwide, like we would have been better off with Kamala instead of Trump. I know friends who say that. I'm not ready to go there on that. I don't believe that at all, in fact. But in a place like New York City, yeah, let them eat cake or whatever, but let them have their cake.
8 million people, let them see the results of that kind of behavior. Let California, 42 million. You've got these grand experiments before the midterms that'll really be helpful. You got California whacked out and going crazy, too. We'll get into that as the broadcast unfolds. But look, these guys need to see the consequences of their actions. They think it's bad under Trump. I think it's not perfect under Trump. But I think it's really good under President Trump in many ways. And the alternative would have been absolutely a horror picture show. I mean, Halloween's over, people. Come on.
Well, the thing about with Kamala, sure it would have been much better off with Trump, no doubt. But the situation in New York was this. Cuomo got 41% of the vote, right? And Mondami only won with 50.3%. I mean, he only got 50%, okay? That's interesting. Cuomo got 41%, but Cuomo was not the Republican candidate, if people are confused about that.
And that's why I'm kind of criticizing Donald. He pretty much promoted a third-party, write-in kind of independent person that split the vote and let this socialist win, really.
Maybe, but, I mean, the Republican candidate, the actual Republican GOP-sanctioned candidate, got 7% of the vote. Sam,
well,
7.
And so you've got a failed candidate in Trump's party. So you got this guy that's pretty bad, right? Gets kicked out of the primary, decides to go independent. Donald backs the independent against a failed Republican candidate. They were destined to lose. I mean, you can see the writing on the wall, people.
Well, who do you blame that on, though? I mean, you could say Cuomo shouldn't have entered in as an independent or whatever. But, I mean, let's just say.
You should float real constitutional Republican candidates is what you need to do, not promote some failure that's destined to lose from the get-go, right?
But, I mean, the only other thing Trump could have done was just say, New York deserves a communist, let him have it. Now, I could have gone with that.
I would have gone there. I would have said, if you guys aren't going to put somebody in place that can really stand for us, let's show you what the opposition looks like. At some point, I'm just saying endorsing this clown. The Republican guy gets 7%. That's an absolute shellacking of your party in New York City. Not surprising. But then you endorse a candidate that's a write-in that doesn't do that well either.
Well, I mean, even if the Republican had dropped out and Cuomo had gotten his 7%, it would have been 50 to 48 instead of 50 to 41. But if Trump had endorsed the Republican candidate, I mean, what happens then? The Republican gets 8% instead of 7. It'd have been something
maybe
like
it
that.
Depends on what. Again, if Cuomo would back out, a lot of that could have gone to the Republican possibly.
Well,
now
that didn't happen, and that was beyond Trump's hands.
If it's not a strong enough Republican, that's a whole discussion for why we reject partisan politics in the first place and why we got to look at candidates specifically and look on principle, not on partisan good old boy network, your next kind of an agenda. Why do we put a weak candidate up in the first place is the real question, right?
In New York, I mean, again.
Why didn't Eric Trump
New York was never in play.
Come on.
New York was never in play for anybody but this guy.
What if Eric Trump would have put his hat in the ring instead of Cuomo? Or somebody a little bit stronger than that. Well, do you think anybody could have won?
No.
So if nobody could have won, then you might as well admit defeat and then just play that up, take advantage of it.
Well, you're not going to win. You can't win New York City that is 32% white, unless you are a non-white or radical left-wing Bolshevik, which is again ties us back to the opening segment. And a white maybe could win like that. Because you've had white mayors of New York, sure. But this isn't Rudy Giuliani's New York anymore. It's 32% white and falling fast. It's fallen a lot even since the Giuliani era. And no, I mean, no Republican and no normal conservative white person or a conservative black. I mean, we saw that in Virginia. I'd like to get to that in a moment. But no, nobody's going to win except for somebody like this in a city like that. That is 100% fact. That is just the way it is. That is demography. That is.
You're right about that. Now, Mom Donnie is basically saying, hey, turn up the volume, Donald. Let's go, buddy. So now the Democrats are ready to rumble. The question becomes, how violent will it get? How out of control will it get? Let's discuss some more of the wins that the Democrats had yesterday. And again, they want you to believe it's a repudiation of Donald. It's a mandate from the people. I don't agree with that at all. I think these are liberal areas that had these wins. Most of them were expected anyway, so let's not get too carried away with this. Trump stuns MAGA by endorsing Andrew Cuomo. I think that was a huge mistake because, again, you just make MAGA people go, what on earth are you doing, Donald? Democrat
Can I
Abigail
say one more thing about New York?
Yeah?
Well, just one more thing about you. You were talking about things getting ready to rumble, and I know we're about to segue away from New York, but I don't think it's going to be all peace and utopia in New York because the comptroller of New York, just very quickly, is a Jewish guy by the name of Mark Levine. Now, he's the money man. He and Mondami endorsed each other, but there's going to be trouble ahead because Levine wants New York City to continue to use municipal pension funds money to buy Israel bonds, and Mondami is vehemently opposed to that. So
he's a Palestine guy, right? Or Palestine guy.
Yeah, sure. And he's going to be squeezed in the purse strings until he relents, which is going to anger his most anti-Semitic supporters. And then you're going to have, you're going to have spectacularly unqualified people as police and fire chiefs. I think that, there is going to be, the results of what's going to happen, the results of what happened last night in New York were very predictable based upon the racial demographics
and that's
of New York
why I say
City.
it's not the mandate they're claiming. It's not the victory lap they're claiming. Not even close.
Well, what's going to happen?
And you're right. There's a division of the Democratic Party there between the communists and the just liberals. There's going to be a dissent in the Republican Party for a variety of reasons, which we can get to hopefully next hour some. But this is we're starting to see a seat change and fracture everywhere, which I submit to you is by design, James.
I mean, this by design or just by nature. If you have a Tower of Babel occupying, I've said this for my entire life as a commentator. If you have the modern day Tower of Babel occupying the same living space, squabbling and competing for the same resources when they share nothing in common except for the fact that they live in the same voting district, I mean, that's of course it's going to be fraught with contempt and distrust. And I think that you're definitely going to have. Well, as I said, the results last night were predictable. The results going forward in New York are going to be predictable as well. It's going to be an absolute disaster with the communists in charge.
And the results across the nation are going to be a gerrymandering disaster, too, if we're not very careful. But Democrat Abigail Spanberger is now Virginia governor, right? Supporters of transgender rights, she is. She's a nut. She's the first female governor of the Commonwealth. Joe Kovacs with the peace. There you have that. So that'll be very interesting as well. Again, no surprise, though. Democratic Jay Jones, who fantasized about killing Republicans and children, won. He's the attorney general in Virginia now. What do you expect when you just have pure evil? I mean, I don't even see how this guy can really be run and taken seriously. But you got a communist in New York. You got Jay Jones, who's literally fantasizing about murdering everybody, now the attorney general. You've got this Spanberger now in Virginia. You've got Democrat Virginia Attorney General, this Jay Jones guy. He's a nut. I mean, he's an absolute nut. But yet, that's what we've got. Democratic Representative Mickey Sherrill won the New Jersey governorship. But these are all very liberal states. None of this is really a surprise. But they're trying to take a victory lap. The question is, who will hold the upper hand with the shutdown in play? We'll talk about that coming up with James Edwards. I'm Sam Bushman. You are watching Liberty Roundtable Live.
Exposing corruption. Informing citizens. Pursuing liberty. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. It's the morning after the Democrats' sweep of yesterday's closely watched midterm elections, and President Trump is predicting dire consequences for the country if the Democrat momentum continues.
They're going to pack the court. They're going to make D.C. a state, and they're going to make Puerto Rico a state. So now they pick up 2 states. They pick up 4 senators. Okay? You think you have problems? They're going to do all of the things. They're going to pick up electoral votes. It's going to be a very, very bad situation. And it's done. It's done. As soon as they attain power.
New York City voters have spoken, and socialist Zoran Mamdani will be the city's next mayor.
New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change.
In deep blue New Jersey, Democrat Mikey Sherrill is the governor-elect, and to the south in the Old Dominion.
A blue wave hit Virginia. Democrat Abigail Spanberger has become Virginia's first woman governor with 57% of the vote. Democrat Ghazala Hashmi was elected lieutenant governor, while Democrat Jay Jones won the attorney general's race. In the House of Delegates, Democrats picked up 13 seats. Democrats won women, the wealthy, non-military voters, federal workers, and those who voted to oppose President Trump. Anne-Marie Morgan reporting.
In California, the Democrats' congressional redistricting scheme won approval, and the Democrats will retain 3 seats on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. The death toll has risen to at least 9 in the fiery crash of a UPS cargo plane in Kentucky. The aircraft went down just moments after takeoff from the Louisville airport. Watching Wall Street, the Dow is up 96 points, NASDAQ ahead 122. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Yeah, this is David in engineering.
This is your wife in suburbia.
Oh, hi, hon. What's up?
How's the robot coming?
Well, it doesn't exactly respond to requests yet, but
Well, I know how frustrating that can be.
You do?
I'm still waiting for my romantic lunch date.
Oh, yeah.
David.
Well, I must not have enough memory allocated. Sorry.
You know, your son said mama today.
Really? Well, we'll have to have that sound chip changed to Dada.
Well, you could reprogram it yourself, you know.
I know. Hey, why don't we do it over lunch today?
Oh, you really are brilliant.
Thanks. You want me to bring the robot?
David.
He can order pasta in 11 languages.
Only if he pays for his own lunch.
Okay. Oh, don't forget to bring Chip.
I still wish we hadn't named him that.
Well, why? It beats general default.
Oh.
Family.
Isn't it about time? Do you know that a baby processes information 3 times faster than an adult?
An adult what?
Engineer. Funny.
I'll see you at noon.
I can't wait. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Back with you live, Sam Bushman, James Edwards, talking about November 5th, 1917, this day in history. Hey, man, Lenin makes his call for a revolution. The Democrats are loving it. They're calling for a revolution of sorts, if you will, as well, trying to set the stage for the midterms. They want you to believe it's a landslide. It's a mandate. I don't think so at all. I think you got a bunch of liberal places that have doubled down on their liberalism. You've got illegals voting. You got all kind of things happening. U.S. government shutdown is now the longest in history, day 36. You got this Zarin or whatever, Mamdani guy that's now the mayor. Self-described socialist. 8 million people are going to suffer under his regime. Mamdani basically says, hey, you know what, Trump, I got 4 words for you. Turn the volume up. Crank it up, Donald. You got Jack Smith coming after Donald. We'll get into that later in the broadcast. Trump stuns MAGA after endorsing Cuomo. That was a failure. That's a real slam for the Donald, though. I mean, only, 41% to the 50% of the communist? The Republican candidate had 7%. It was your only way to save bacon, Donald, and, you would have, well, let's at least say we got 41%, right? Interesting, to say the least. Democrat Abigail Spanberger wins Virginia governor race. She's a transgender promoter, out of control. Democratic Jade Jones, who fantasized about killing Republicans and children, wins attorney general in Virginia. So you got this whacked out Virginia. You got this supporter of transgender rights teamed up with this guy that's threatening to kill Republicans and children. I mean, these guys are nuts. Then you got Democrat Rep. Mickey Sherrill, won the New Jersey governorship. Listen to this. New Jersey governor now, Mickey Sherrill says, quote, parents cannot opt out of gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, whatever, brainwashing for kids. No, can't opt out in their state. You got to flee the state for safety, folks. California is just as bad. California approves Democratic redistricting. Proposition 50 ballot measure passes. That's disaster. So really what you got is Texas saying we're going to go Republican. You got California saying, fine, we'll go Democrat. Now you got Democrats also maintain control of the state Supreme Court in Pennsylvania, a critical swing state. All 3 Democrats that were up for re-election got retained. Democrats flipped 2 Public Service Commission seats in Georgia on Tuesday night. They say that's the first time Democrats have held statewide non-federal seats since 2006. Maryland is going to explore efforts to redraw their congressional maps on the heels of what they call this massive Democrat win across the country. Derek Johnson over at the NAACP. Tonight's victories are only the beginning, he says. The president today, meaning Donald Trump, meeting with GOP senators at the White House today to discuss the shutdown. What he wants? His demand to end the Senate's filibuster rule. He says we got to get this done or it's going to be curtains for us. They say that'll allow the GOP to pass the legislation needed to reopen the government. Anyway, there you have it. It's out of control. Those are kind of the wins across the country. They want you to believe it's a mandate, James. I don't at all agree with that whatsoever. I think they've got a few liberal places that all lined up. I think they're delighted because it lined up with the communist revolution plan from Lenin back in 17. That's 1917, by the way, over 100 years ago. But they're just loving this pretend momentum. They're trying to kind of see if they can't make a run for it. Will they be successful?
I still don't think so. The results in that much less discussed election in Georgia interest me a little more than the big ones that are getting all the attention. But even Georgia now, Atlanta brings down the whole enterprise.
You got
there.
Stacey Abrams and whacked out folks in Georgia that are absolutely betraying the state. Most of these states have a lot of conservative people in the rural areas, but these big cities just absolutely get funded by big money, by elitists. They've done that in Wyoming and Montana and Georgia. And they're doing it just about everywhere now, James. They control the state because of big money.
Well, in some states, Virginia's a prime example. I mean, this is the state of Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson, and if you look out into the rural hinterland of Virginia, it is just all the counties are red except for right there in the Beltway, those Virginia counties nearest to Washington, D.C. And the thing about, oh, by the way, John Rocker, the famous baseball pitcher who 25 years ago when he was still in the majors, he criticized New York for its rapid decline into a third world country. He was forced to undergo psychological counseling as if he were the crazy one. And now here 25 years later, the city is voting in a Muslim socialist for mayor. So there you go. But with Virginia, Virginia is the Republicans just gave that to them. The Republicans had an incumbent governor, Glenn Youngkin, and he wasn't anything to get too excited about, but he was okay on some issues, and being okay was good enough to get out the base. The Republicans absolutely just offered Virginia on a silver platter to the Democrats. When you nominate,
why? I don't understand why, though. And see, I think they offered on a silver platter the New York mayorship, too.
Well, I mean, New York, again, here's the difference, though, Sam, is New York was never going to be winnable. 32% white in New York. That's all there is to it. That explains New York. But Virginia had a Republican governor. Now, what was the difference?
Now, if we would have put up somebody solid, I would believe you. If we lost but put up somebody solid, I would believe you. But it's possible that we could put up somebody and at least have an incredible showing. We've got 41% from this clown that's a failure, but we got 41% and now it's a big failure. If we had a 41 to 45% with a solid candidate that could have set the standard and had some great talking points and educated the American people and warned of what was going to happen and all the right things, it'd be a different ballgame even there.
I don't think that anybody.
We might not have won,
honestly.
We might not have won, but we still would have staked out where we are. This way, we didn't even stake out where we were. We just had Donald cave to the failure, and there you go, right?
Well, I'm surprised
almost.
I'm surprised that Cuomo and the Republican got 48% combined. I mean, that seems exceptionally low. I'm shocked that Zamdani,
and that's why I say
whatever
if you didn't have two failed candidates that made up that, you actually had a successful candidate that knew how to articulate and fight the fight, so to speak, you might have pulled it off. We're talking about 3 points. You would have pulled it off.
If you combine them and then add 3 more, yes. But in Virginia,
if you have a unified candidate that could have really been not a failure, though, I think Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or somebody should have went for it.
Well, that would have certainly made it a lot more interesting. And again, I am surprised that Mandami only got 50% in New York. But this thing with Virginia, though, they nominated not only a black woman, but a Jamaican immigrant with a hyphenated last name. Let me just tell you something. I mean, she may be good on the issues. I doubt it. But Winsome Earl Sears is her name, Jamaican immigrant. This is just a fact. Your base is on these races like in Virginia, where it's like a 50-50 state. Your base, this is just a matter of fact. You can laugh about it. You can shout about it. It is a matter of fact that the base voter of the Republican Party are white men and white women. And nobody's going to get it.
You just got to look it up.
Well, it's just a fact. You can say that's good, that's bad, that's terrible. I don't know why they, wring your hands or just accept it. But that is a fact of the matter. And when you nominate a Jamaican immigrant black woman with a hyphenated last name, that is not going to motivate your base to get out. I guarantee you the Republicans lost Virginia because they nominated such a ridiculous candidate. Out of all the people that could have been the GOP nominee for governor of Virginia,
nominated a ridiculous candidate in New York, too, that got 7%.
Yes,
and we endorsed the failure that's 90% close to this new Mamdani guy already in Cuomo, right? We endorsed a guy and we had a guy run. I mean, we just failure all around.
Listen, Cuomo's no good. Cuomo's terrible.
Right.
But, I mean, nevertheless, New York is, I say, a lost cause. Virginia is most certainly not, unless you just
Well, if you put up
throw the
failed
game.
candidates, it's a lost cause, too. You put up
Why
failed
would-
candidates anywhere, it's a lost cause, James.
How could they think that, you got to motivate your base? Turnout is everything in these swing elections. A black woman immigrant from Jamaica with a hyphenated last name, that is not going to motivate your base. That is not going to get the rural voters that carry you to victory or stay at home and seal your defeat. That is I don't see. I mean, listen, there's a lot of Republican strategists. They're ubiquitous, Republican consultants. How can I see this so clearly? And this is what they thought was going to be a winning formula for Virginia. Absolutely.
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't know. I don't
unbelievable.
even know if they think it's a winning formula. I think it's a good old boy network. The left, right wings of the same bird of prey, as Pat Buchanan called it. I almost think they're kind of saying it's about your turn to get a little bit of power here. We'll share power with you. That's what they've done forever, and that's what they continue to, it seems, to do. They
If I could
literally
tell you-
shoot themselves in the foot, right?
Happy, you mentioned his name. On November the 3rd, 2 days ago, Pat Buchanan turned 87 years old. Happy 87th
Hang
birthday.
tight. We'll
Pat.
talk about that. We'll also talk about Josh Phillip, our dear buddy over at the Epoch Times, and what he has to say about this relating to the midterms. We'll talk about it.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Cybercrime is exploding. Take Sarah from Sweet Delights, whose world crumbled after having to close with not being able to bounce back. Small businesses are prime targets, but the right strategies can keep yours safe. Jay Hill, CEO of Network Providers, has co-authored The Cyber Playbook Simplifies Cybersecurity for Business Owners with Strategies to avoid costly breaches and fines. Build a strong cyber attack response. Secure your business with key protections. Cyber threats aren't slowing down, but you can stay ahead. Protect your business. Ensure its security for tomorrow. Get the Cyber Playbook today at networkprovidersinc.com/cyber-playbook or call 385-446-5500 now.
Breaking down what happened last night, they want you to believe it's an absolute landslide or a mandate. Couldn't be further from the truth, in my humble opinion. However, there are some real discussion points that need to kind of happen about all this. James, you're basically of the opinion that we should have put good candidates in place and fought. New York was already a loss, so you might as well give up and not even run anybody. I think we actually could have won with the right candidate, believe it or not, because we really had, between two failed people, 48%. That's incredible. That shows that the people aren't as one-sided as we might think. What if a real candidate stepped in there with real money to back them, with Donald Trump's support, with common sense in New York, with I think the right candidate could have actually made it happen. But when you've got a failed candidate that's on a kind of a write-in, or I failed in the primary and I still want to be on the ballot because I'll never give up power, failure, and then you've got this other Republican candidate that can't, win his way out of a paper bag. No wonder this Mondani guy won. But I think it could have been doable with the right candidates. I really do. And the combined number pretty much proves that we're close. We're not as far as it seems. But we failed on all fronts because we basically took it for granted, or we thought we were going to lose anyway, right?
If Eric or Donald Trump Jr. had run, maybe you could have won New York. Short of that, it was, you weren't going to win. But I am surprised that he did only get 50%. I will say that. But 50% still a winner.
Are you surprised that between the two failed people, they got 48%?
Yes. Yep.
See?
I am.
And what if you had a real winner? I mean, I think if you got the right candidate, I don't know who it could be. I don't know who else from New York could have done it. I don't know who else lives there. Most of the conservatives have left New York.
Yeah,
I mean, Rush
they're all
Limbaugh
in
bailed,
Florida now.
and Glenn Beck bailed, and everybody else left, and Giuliani's been unfairly dealt with, and everything else. So there you have it. Now the president's meeting with GOP senators. He wants to promote the jettisoning of the filibuster, so they don't need Democratic votes to reopen the government. I think that's a failed idea as well, James.
Well, as with everything, my position on any issue at any time is it good for our people? Getting rid of the filibuster would have been the end of the country as we know it under an Obama or Biden administration. But as it stands right now, depending on what he wants to do with it, I mean, I would entertain it. But, of course, unless you can put the filibuster back on the table if and when the Democrats ever regain control of
that's
the
the
Congress,
problem.
then you're going to have a
Out of the
problem.
bag, you lose that high ground, and so that's why I'm against it. I just think that, hey, we need to slow government down. We don't need to speed government up. And I don't know that we even really need to open the government. What we need is Mike Johnson to get back at the helm. We're paying him for goodness sakes, and we need this guy to basically start passing piecemeal bill. Hey, we funded the air traffic controllers, and the Democrats shut it down. Use that as an absolute, this is figurative, whipping stick to say, hey, guys, what the heck? You won't even support the traffic controllers? The transportation's on you. And simple, piecemeal, single-issue legislative pieces could prove that over and over and over, but not when you sit at home and twiddle your thumbs and pretend like there's nothing that you can do. Now, Joshua Phillip, our dear friend over at the Epoch Times, put this on the table, James, and I want your comment on this. I think this is really critical. Here's what he said. Socialism could become key political issue for the 2026 midterms. And this is where, hey, maybe there's a method to the madness. Let the socialists win. Let the communists take control. Let California just go psychotic. Let some of these liberal states prove who they really are, promoting transgender, saying that you can't even, opt your kids out of gay, lesbian agenda, brainwashing, and let them just kind of burn themselves down, and then midterms say, see what the socialists and communists have done? By heck, we got to, this might be the backfire opportunity, James.
I like that thinking. If, in fact, there is anybody in the GOP that can think that far ahead, they need to be promoted, because there is something to that
Sam
logic
Bushman
right
and Josh
there.
Phillips then, right?
Well, if y'all are the ones who pioneered that line of thought, absolutely, because there is something to consider there. If, in fact, that was the plan, or if, in fact, it just wasn't, you weren't going to be able to compete anyway, the idea of gaining something by presenting New York as an example of where they want to take the country, because between now and 2 years from now, when you have the next presidential election, I guess that's 3 years from now, next year, between now and next year is what I was trying to say, when you have the midterms.
Yeah,
okay?
very little
Next year
time
you have
left.
the
We
midterms.
wasted most of it.
But you have the midterms. That is still a year for the Republicans to be able to present New York City as Exhibit A in the case of what the left, what the Democrats want to do for the whole country. So assuming, and I think it's a pretty safe assumption, that New York is going to continue, and places like California, as you just mentioned, Sam, are going to continue to spiral out of control and to even more absurdity over the course of the next year, saying, hey, it's just New York City. It's basically their capital. It's their stronghold. Let's let them have it. Let's not try to compete here. And we will use this as a way to help fortify ourselves in the midterms. If that is the thinking, there's sound logic to it.
Time will tell what's going to happen. AOC is kind of in the weird mix now, too. There's going to be kind of this Mondani guy, and AOC might have a little bit of a battle, because now you've got kind of some real communists and socialists that want to battle for the hearts and minds of the Democratic Party, James. How's that going to shake out?
It's going to be contentious. See, I mean, they will all rally around together to defeat the interest of the historic American majority, people like that. But these people do quarrel with one another as well. It's not like everyone who's non-white works in peace and harmony with one another. No, they have their own infighting. I mean, and it is going to be a mess in New York.
Yeah, when
And
they have
again,
us as
people
the paper tiger, then they all join in attack. But now that they have to kind of deal with their own internal people, it ain't going to go so well there. And I think you're going to watch New York melt down on the national stage, personally.
100%. I think you're going to see it big time over the fact that you have this Muslim pro-Palestine mayor in a city where, it's America's financial capital, and it's heavily dominated by Jewish people. I think you're going to have a big locking of horns between those two. And that's not even counting in, as you mentioned, AOC, Hispanic, and their interest and their unique group interest. And everybody's going to. Yeah,
the melting pot's going to melt down everybody's. That's what I'm telling you. The big apple, everybody wants a bite, and whoa, it ain't going to go so well because some people are going to get a bigger bite than other people, and then they're going to cry foul.
100%.
AOC, for example, gets kind of, put to the back of the bus. Do I dare say that? And then she's going to riot. It's just going to go crazy. This is going to be literally get your popcorn, people.
It is. And again,
that's what's going down.
That can be a silver lining for the GOP, the gift that this dysfunction will give them come the primaries. Everybody's excited right now. And I think a lot of people are letting this guy off the hook by only calling him a socialist. I mean, this guy is a radical Marxist.
Flat out psychotic.
Absolutely.
Muslim. So the question becomes, are we going to have Sharia law in New York, James?
This is the most murderous ideology in the world, and of course, you've seen it in Virginia with their attorney general. I mean, this is a murderous ideology, and so again, just to call him a garden variety socialist is, I think,
it's their way of just kind of minimizing it. They want to kind of roll in a softened plan. Yeah, that's right.
Well, you would definitely have Sharia law if he could do it. Yeah, if he could do it, he would do it. But that's not going to happen. But you're still going to see. A lot. Everybody's excited right now if they voted for that guy or if they wanted him to win to stick it to Trump or whatever. Everybody's excited right now. But I think a year from now, this is going to be something the Republicans are going to be able to use because
if they're smart,
what's going to happen in New York is going to happen.
But if they back clowns, if they basically run people that are feckless and unable to garner attention, they're going to lose again.
That's
so
right.
Let's be very clear. You need strong Republicans, constitutional people, MAGA people who aren't afraid to say it like it is. You need real people to double down or you're going to lose. And that's what I see here is we didn't have solid people in any of these spots. We really didn't. And we better get them or we're going to lose again.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, there will be an opportunity for the Republicans to take advantage of this and continue to increase their share of the power if they play it right. And Virginia is a prime example of them not even trying to compete, trying to make people like them, this beautiful loser mentality that Sam Francis always called respectable conservatism. We're going to run this black woman to show people that we're good people and, of course we're going to lose, but hey, at least, somebody might think we're, decent. I mean, it's just crazy.
Democrats maintaining control of the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania means we won't get to the bottom of vote fraud in Pennsylvania either there, so beware of that, ladies and gentlemen. But look, I want to be very clear about this. When Donald Trump endorses, what's his face?
Cuomo,
yeah. When Donald endorses Cuomo and attacks Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, something's slightly askew there, buddy.
Well, Donald is a little schizophrenic at times. I mean, it's really all ego-driven and personality-driven. He doesn't like. It's not
if you invest in people or kingmakers or personality-driven, that kind of stuff, you're going to lose. You got to focus on principle, ladies and gentlemen, and you got to focus on the truth. Next hour, I'm going to kick off the show by talking about California. They have lost their minds there, and I'm telling you right now, you're going to watch Newsom in California, and you're going to watch this Mondani guy in New York, and you're going to watch how the liberals absolutely lead with their agenda. People are going to freak out about how communist and how tyrannical and how abusive and how socialist and how whatever it gets. You're going to see the writing on the wall, and they're going to expose their true colors. Next hour, I'll talk about California to prove the point. There's some startling financial statistics on the horizon that we've got to discuss. I'm Sam Bushman. I've got my buddy James Edwards with me. ThePoliticalCesspool.org is his website. Check out his award-winning book. Check out his award-winning talk show every Saturday Night Live or on demand at your fingertips. ThePoliticalCesspool.org. I'm Sam Bushman, syndicated by the Loving Liberty Networks. LovingLiberty.net. Spread the word. Share the love. And God save the Republic of the United States of America.